Welcome to the House Rules podcast.
Are you doing it or am I doing it?
I don't know. Let's do the other way now.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to House Rules. I'm John Binkowski, a realtor at Century 21 Signature in Flushing, Michigan. I'm here with my partner in crime, Carter Bastien. Carter, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy that we are taking action and finally doing this.
Really excited for it because we're looking introspectively into what we do in our respective roles. Me as a realtor, you as an LO or loan officer. I'm excited to do this. The people are interested in this type of thing. They gotta be. Figure out how the sausage is made. So I'm excited, man.
Ooh, well, let's talk about how the sausage is made then, shall we?
Let's do it.
Perfectionism, indecision, and fear, the three-headed monster, that's all playing a role in why people can't take action to do those next steps. And I'm guilty of it too. I know you and I are kind of hypocritical for having this be our topic when we've been procrastinating and not taking action. Well, let's dig into that a little bit. Like, what is it that makes people not take action and get stuck in neutral?
So everybody's guilty of it, no matter what it is, whether it's going to the grocery store, going to the gym, trying to fulfill your New Year's resolution to go to the gym, and it's full for the first half of January. And then next thing you know, these gyms are empty again. So it's all about taking action. The hardest thing, I compare it to going to the gym all the time. The hardest thing to do is to get through those front doors. So the doing part is tough for everybody. It's the human condition to put things off till tomorrow, till next week, whatever it may be. It's easy to do that because we don't really see the pressing issues at hand that they have to be done today, when really we would be so much further ahead if we did do them today. So doing things when you set your mind to do them and actually doing it is so much easier said than done, but we all can work at it. And so you're battling the human condition every single day. And I think that's the hardest part.
It's the uncertainty and the unknown. And that's what scares people. I was listening to a podcast, there's a guy talking about how people are it's like 2 to 3 times as likely to take action in order to avoid a possible negative outcome. So they're risk aversive versus taking action for a possible positive outcome. But you'd be surprised how many times the positive outcome would come around if people would just take those first steps and get things going. And I think both you and I have dealt with it, both personally and with our clients on, it's a lot to take in, and there's a lot that's unknown from the perspective of a home buyer where you're figuring things out. They're first-time home buyers too. So it's even more to kind of digest and sort out and try to figure out. And there's so many different things. It's just weighing people down. And I want to work with you to figure out, where's that coming from? I want to feel more confident, I think, in what the next steps are and just breaking it down to a simplified equation of this is how we go from point A to the closing table.
Yeah, absolutely. And this podcast, I think, is a perfect analogy of that, just because we have to work together on a deal. Both of us have to do our jobs to get to that closing table, at least within a, time is of the essence mindset. We want to get there with time is of the essence in mind, because we don't want to have our clients wait. We don't want to wait ourselves. We want to get to the closing table just as fast, if not faster than the client. So this podcast is perfect because we both have to work together. Time constraints, scheduling issues, whatever, what have you, we can blame it on anything. But it really comes down to both of us taking action in unison to make the dream work. And that's very similar to a real estate deal as well.
And we're doing it. That's what's important. We're doing it. We're moving forward. We're taking action. And I've got to imagine that there's a lot of people that are scared of, what could go wrong. They hear all these different things from the media, from their cousin who was once a real estate agent, or whatever the situation may be. There's a lot of different content that's out there and things for people to see. They're developing their opinion and their perspective based on that. So that's where we come in to really help break it down a little bit. And you, as far as, negotiating terms of their purchase agreement, helping them find the home, and me with the financing side of things, making sure that their loan is structured up to be aligned with their goals, both short-term and long-term, to the best of our ability, and also helping them understand the differences between what your role is and what you do versus what my role is and what I do, because I think that's something that people blend together a lot, and it's just information coming from every which direction that it a lot of times will get mixed together and there'll be a little bit of confusion there.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing, I love deferring to the lender or to the loan officer because I'm not a numbers guy. I'm the guy that shows you the house. I'm the guy that tells you what to look for as a buyer and how to attack the deal as effectively as possible, how to come in with a strong offer. If you love the property, you got to fall in love with the property. So I do the real estate side where I show them the house, I give them the insight, and then you do the behind the closed doors thing,
numbers guy
duty with the numbers. And that's a beautiful thing because it works so well together. They know, you know more about that side of it, about what's my monthly payment going to be, you know, how is my interest rate going to affect my payment, when can I refinance, things like that. Defer that to the lender. That's what the lender has to deal with. And I love that because it works great. We do our duties well, and as long as we do our own respected duties in an effective way, give the buyer peace of mind. And the hardest thing to do also, Carter, is to not look like a car salesman, both as the lender side and from the realtor side, because it's really easy to do that. We are salesmen at the end of the day, but we have to paint a very clear picture that we're working in the best interest of the buyer. Because if we don't do that effectively, we're going to come off as a car salesman. And we don't want to do that.
And I think that's what it's about, is just giving them the confidence, not coming across as too pushy as a car salesman, but getting them the information that they're looking for and helping them feel comfortable and getting them from point A to point B as smoothly as possible. So it's just an overall good experience and simplified. That's what everybody wants nowadays, is simplicity. With all these different messages coming from every direction, like I've said before, you've got to be able to sort it out and get from point A to point B efficiently without getting slowed down from all these different confounding variables. So I think breaking it down for people as simply as possible and helping them ultimately, whatever you need to do. Some people like to have things over-explained to them, but you need to make sure that ultimately, both on the real estate side and on the lending side, that our clients are feeling confident in what the next steps are in the overall process and confident in our ability to get the job done.
Exactly. Putting the confidence in the professionals that do this on a daily basis is key. It's not a one and done type of deal, type of situation. You've got to constantly work at it. You got to work towards it daily. And you don't want to take advantage of that because once it's gone, it's gone. You have a lot of these guys and gals are first-time home buyers. So they have to have that peace of mind going into the purchase, and even that first 6 months, that first year, that first 2 years. How are you doing with your pre-purchase budgeting? A lot of first-time home buyers especially, they don't know if they're going to be able to make the payments. They don't know if they're going to be able to make their property taxes and all these different things. I remember when I was a first-time home buyer, it was very daunting. So being able to have an emergency fund to put in a new hot water heater, to put in a new furnace or things like that. There's things that are unforeseen. It's a big risk. There's a lot of moving parts within a home. It's impossible to predict the future, but you want to be prepared for emergencies and budget effectively.
I know you said you love to defer, but it's a team effort. You're passing off the baton when it's ready. They're ready to put an offer in. Of course, I'm going to have them pre-approved and go over what their options are with them. So they'll know what the best possible options are. And it is important that our clients are informed fully. But when do you think it becomes a problem to where it's too much analysis and it creates paralysis? In general, where do you think it is that people start overthinking, and how can that be problematic?
That's a good question, because you want to hold their hand as much as possible. You want to answer all the questions they have. You don't want to over-explain things, because then it becomes too much of a complicated issue. In the buyer's mind, a complicated issue, when in reality it's not. Really having the buyer lead you in a direction of, okay, I got to explain this in this capacity, in this extent, and maybe I just got to leave this be for a little bit and we're going to go in a different area. Let it sit, let it marinate for a little while, and then always defer to the professional. If you're talking about a foundation, if you're talking about the age of a roof, defer to the realtor. If you're talking about a monthly payment or an interest rate, defer to the lender. So knowing who to talk to in certain situations, having your hand held as long as you can and as effectively as you can, and giving them the effective information without explaining it too much or over-explaining it, because you got to keep it simple.
And right now, I mean, depending on your geographic location, of course, a lot of places, it definitely is a buyer's market with what's available out there. And there is ample amount of time to be able to make these decisions. Around 30 days in most areas, probably in Michigan. I don't know, what would you say in your area you're seeing lately?
Depends on the house. It depends on the property. Vacant land's always tough. You got a house that might be a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. That might not be the best for a large family. So there's some specific use properties that will only fit a certain demographic.
But also have the outliers on average, what would you say?
I'd say this market, especially in Flushing, say a week to a month is an average that it'd be pretty accurate.
My point with that was, depending on how you look at it, not a lot of time to make these decisions. And when interest rates do drop, I just saw a number from National Association of Realtors the other day saying if rates dropped 1%, 5 million more eligible buyers come to the market. And I just saw a number the other day that said 5.5 million more eligible buyers. Not to mention all these people that have been sidelined waiting for interest rates to come down. They are eligible already. That'll be coming off the sidelines as well. So think about how competitive it could get with homes coming on the market and getting above asking offers right that same day, and cash buyers in the mix as well. It could get a lot more competitive real fast depending on what happens here in the near future. In those cases, it's even more important to act fast and to make sure that you're moving forward and not leaving it in neutral and trying to put your foot on the gas at the same time.
Definitely. I think that's a double-edged sword situation, just because you have homes that might be right at the threshold of your max. That percentage lower will give you extra buying power. So yeah, you're going to have more buyers enter the market, but also those existing buyers that might have not been able to afford a certain threshold when it comes to price of a home, those are now in the ball game. Those are options now where they weren't before.
The whole point with this being just, it's gonna get more competitive. It's gonna be more important to act quickly. And the double-edged sword that you mentioned is like, you still wanna make the right decision, but it's hard to not get stuck in this perfection paradox that people are making up of, I've gotta make sure that everything is perfect, but you might end up missing out on opportunities. What's the real cost of making sure everything is perfect?
No, the real cost is time. The real cost is waiting longer to get yourself into a home. Everybody has different situations, familial situations. You might have kids. You might have kids on the way. You might have family living with you. So specific use always comes into play, and that's never gonna change regardless of the interest rates. Whether they go up, they go down. Historically, rates are very low right now. If you look back into the 90s, rates were around 15, 18%, and that was normal. But the difference was prices of homes were a lot lower. So that high interest rate didn't hurt as much as it does now. So now you have a high price point for houses really across the board, and a semi-high compared to pre and post-COVID rates of 2-3%. They're semi-high. That kind of blurred everyone's vision when rates were down at 2, 2.5, 3.
That's still under crazy. 4%. Sorry to interrupt, but under 4%, I think is still like 80% of people. There's like 80% of homeowners out there that are under 4%, which is crazy. They're locked in now to under 4%. And
well, yeah, but that's what's making people reluctant to sell, which is also adding to the reason why inventory is low really across the board. It's getting a little bit better, but for the most part, the constrained and constricted inventory, that is not helping buyers at all, because they're not able to cast a wide net of properties in their target area that fit their needs and fit their price point. So it's a battle for buyers. It's a battle. You got Redfin, you got Zillow, people everywhere, major outlets saying that it's a buyer's market. I would put an asterisk next to that. Just, you can't say cut and dry that it's a buyer's market. It's not. But in reality, there's always going to be buyers. And for that reason, it will always be a buyer's market to some degree.
As far as like in a more competitive market, what happens if you are waiting too long, where there's cash buyers that are ready to go?
Right.
What's the cost of waiting at that point? From the financing side, one thing that I see happen all the time is, especially in a market that the homes are appreciating in value, people are missing out on thousands of dollars that could have been an asset of theirs. It could have been equity, additional equity that they had in their home, but instead it's an additional liability on what they owe on their mortgage because they bought a little bit too late. They waited a little bit too long. And missed opportunities there's nothing more expensive than missed opportunities, whether it's from, the equity you missed out on, or if it's from the perfect home that they finally found and fell in love with and then lost it to a cash buyer who swooped in and was ready to go. And because it doesn't take a lot of time for you and I to be able to go through all the facts and help people understand what they need. Some people longer than others, and that's okay. We're here to help as much as necessary or as little as they want to move to the next steps and feel comfortable and informed, eliminating that uncertainty. As far as waiting too long, what are some of the negative consequences that you've seen on the real estate side? What can happen if people are dragging their feet too much? It's them against themselves. They're battling to whether or not they actually want to buy a home. What are some of the negative things that you've seen happen as a result of procrastination?
So the buyer's always in the driver's seat. We are merely messengers. We will write the offers that they ask us to write them at, the price points. The cost of waiting is always time. It's always time, but there's never going to be the perfect time. I mentioned this, and it's not false in any degree. This is the hardest time to buy a home or to be a first-time home buyer in history, and that's not an understatement.
Affordability or
mostly affordability. Mostly affordability for what you're buying, just because it's so much a seller's market. The seller has the advantage more times than not in this market, and because of that, I always tell a buyer, you gotta always think, what can I get out of this when I go to sell? And that has to be in their forethought, because if you're not thinking about that, if you're going to make it your forever home, that's one thing. But still, even then, you don't want that burden to be on your kids or anybody else down the road. They want to have equity in the house, which you're going to be putting in, but also you're going to want to sell it for a competitive price when you go to sell, because somebody will sell that house at some point. So the cost is always time, but the other side of the coin is there's no perfect time. And if you're buying right now, especially if you have kids or kids on the way, time is not on your side. You have to find a place. You have to find a roof to put over your head and your family's heads. You have to live somewhere. It's battling that, finding something that you can make worth it in your mind. This is going to be worth it. And when I go to sell, I'm not going to lose that much if I lose at all. I want to build equity into the house, sweat equity, putting in new carpet, new paint, new appliances, new countertops, whatever. How am I going to make this house competitive when I go to sell? How can I keep as much of the equity as I put in when I go to sell? So it's putting that mindset into the buyer, which they should already have, but we can reiterate that very easily. Finding that blueprint to make it work in their mind, to make it work with their budget, and to make it work at the end of the day when they go to sell. This has to be worth it.
Yeah, and I think to help them feel comfortable to find that sense of security too, taking action does so much. It's like to eliminate the uncertainty and the fear of the unknown that people have, is because when you look at it in the big picture, there is a lot that's going on. But we've done this time and time again when we help people move along with the process that we've championed. Never perfect. Can't let perfect get in the way of great. So we've got a process down that works well. And by going from the first step to when you're putting offers in with a pre-approval that I'm going to customize for whatever property they're putting an offer in on, they're going to know exactly what the next steps are. What it's going to be is it's going to be taking the uncertainty away from them and giving them confidence in this is what the process is. This is my mortgage guy, my real estate agent who've got me exactly where I need to be. And if I listen to them and I consider all the facts, probably the biggest purchase most people are going to make in their lifetime. And it's a big deal. By not doing anything, people are going to miss out on opportunities, and there's nothing more costly than missed opportunities. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah, that's well said. And I'll reiterate that, and I'll piggyback off of that. So honestly, I hate to say this, but sometimes the best lesson to be learned, the best way to learn a lesson is to miss out on a few deals first, because then you realize this is the market we're in. This is what we're up against. We're fighting an uphill battle. How are we going to win that uphill battle? We might have to get into a property that needs some work. It might need a facelift. As long as the bones are good, then I tell buyers to go for it. If you love it and you fall in love with the place and it's sound, everything checks out bones wise, maybe not cosmetically, but bones wise, foundation is good, furnace is good, hot water heater is good, roof is good, then, and you love it as well, then go for it. Go for it with a competitive offer, because you don't want to miss out on something by trying to lowball a property that is probably well worth it at asking price, if not over that. If you love it, go for it. That's the biggest thing to go to really reiterate to buyers.
Yeah, and I wanted to piggyback off that a little bit as well. Keep this piggybacking going. And neither of us are fathers ourselves, but we were babies at one point. We were crawling to try to figure it out before we were walking. But before we built up the muscles and the knowledge and the ability to be able to go from crawling to walking, we had to fall down a few times and learn the lessons the hard way. By losing out on a property, that might be the equivalent of falling down a couple of times, to where you learn those lessons and you improve each time. But by missing out on taking the chance to take the next steps to make it happen, I really think that people are missing out on a lot of opportunities and a lot of life by not just doing it and learning from that and improving. If you focus on doing it perfectly the first time, you're missing out on learning from them. Take it from me, who's learned a lot of tough lessons from doing things the wrong way. It's taught me a lot and it's helped me grow. And to get forward, by keeping in mind your long-term goals and what they are, staying aligned with those as best you can, managing the repercussions, but not worrying about them too much and letting them hold you down as a weight, I think that's what's going to empower people to just keep moving forward and get them where they need to go, ultimately.
Yeah, and as realtors, that might be the most difficult thing to convey to a buyer, because as their realtor, we want to get them the best deal possible. On the other side of the coin, the sellers and the listing agent, they want to get as much money possible for their sellers. That's a constant struggle. That's a battle that the realtors have to fight on behalf of their clients. But at the same time, putting it all out there, going for it. And then, okay, if this offer isn't accepted, then I felt good about what I offered. I didn't go lower than I should have, lower than I wanted to try to get a deal, especially if the property's only been listed for 3 days, because you can play that card too. If it's been on for a little bit longer, you might have a little bit more leniency. So it's finding a property that you love, going for it if you love it, and leaving it all on the table. If you don't get the property, don't get the house, you can walk away with your head held high and be like, there's another one on the horizon. That one wasn't meant to be. That one wasn't meant to be for me. So mine is up next. So.
Yeah, and not saying everybody should go miss out on their dream home just to learn, but if it happens, then you do learn from it. And next time, maybe we'll be a little bit more aggressive with the offer. Whatever the specifics may be, we'll learn from what didn't work the last time and we'll improve that. And it'll give people that confidence to be able to take the next steps to eventually be at the closing table. You'll get the keys to your new home. And
that's the goal.
It's just helping them feel informed, eliminating uncertainty, and taking action, not staying in neutral.
Yeah, you want to be in the ball game.
Yep. So, heck yeah, brother. Well, we did it. That's the first step, is recording episode 1 of House Rules. We're going to improve. We're going to learn from this one. And next episode is going to be even better. So thanks for tuning in. House Rules, Carter Bastien, mortgage loan expert, and
John Binkowski, realtor, Century 21. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yes, sir.